Hi, my name is Mia, and I'm here to talk to you today about learning in public and Furby hacking. So, first of all, it's nice to meet you. I'm Mia, and this is Tolu. Well, to be more accurate, Tolu looks a little bit more like this right now, but we will get into that in a minute. I'm a developer relations programs manager here at New Relic. I have a marketing and developer relations background, so I've been in tech for several years, but I'm new to the technical side of technology. For me, the whole Furby hacking shenanigan started when I got this job. When I became a developer relations person at New Relic, part of my job became streaming, meaning I was going to be doing live content on Twitch around coding and other technical content. And I was really excited about this. I thought this is a great opportunity to learn more, to develop my skill set, and really dive into the technical side of things. But I was also really intimidated by it because doing things live on Twitch means you can mess up live on Twitch in front of a lot of people. So I was looking for a project that I was personally invested in to level up my technical skills, and Furby hacking really appealed to me. So why Furby hacking? It actually has a really long history, ever since the first toy was released in 1998. I think there are three main reasons why. The first is that Furbies are iconic, weird, and lovable. There's something about the face that no matter what you do to a Furby, you can still recognize it. And the creepy tone of Furbish, which is the language that they speak, same thing there. So I think there's something really iconic about it that makes it appealing to people. There's also something really fun about if you were a child when Furbies came out and they creeped you out when you were a kid. Now you can take the toy from your childhood and make it into something full on eldritch horror. And I'll show you a couple examples in a little bit. The second thing is that Furbies are surprisingly complex. They have a lot of different sensors and a lot of different things you can choose to do with them if you're creative enough to figure something fun out. They have an IR to be able to send and receive signal. They have a light sensor, a sound sensor, a back sensor, and a tilt/motion sensor. So you can really do a lot with it if you want to. The next is that they're surprisingly affordable. Whenever it was a children's toy, it was around $30, and even now today on eBay, you can find them for about $30 to $50, depending on the color, the popularity, the generation, that sort of thing. So they're accessible. There's also a really long history of Furby modification. And what I mean by modification is that these pieces don't necessarily have the mechanical parts still intact or still working, but they're really recognizable as Furbies. This community is called odd body Furbies. The most recognizable of which is probably the long Furby, which is there on the left, and also there's one on the right. But there's also a lot of things you can do with them. You can change out the plates, you can 3D print cool pieces for them, you can add arms and legs to your Furby. There's really infinite possibilities, and there's a lot of examples out there. I tried to choose the most tame ones just so that I wouldn't, have anything sort of scary in this presentation, but there are some that are like full on very creepy, and I think it's really interesting if you want to check it out. As far as Furby hacking, a lot of people have documented their adventures in Furby hacking, including on the top right by this YouTuber called Look Mum No Computer. They made a Furby organ. So all these Furbies turn on at the same time and interact with the piano to make sound. I chose not to use the sound in this presentation for a reason, but it's on YouTube if you want to look it up. And then this one from How
Introducing
To,
for Alexa.
I have nothing to do with Skynet. Don't worry.
where they actually put an Alexa inside of a Furby using a Raspberry Pi. And that was actually my main inspiration. I decided I wanted to follow How Cho's suit and try to put Alexa inside a Furby using a Raspberry Pi. So after all the googling around, all the research, we now have a plan. We're going to use Furby and Raspberry Pi hardware. We're going to do live coding on Twitch, and we're going to use the Amazon Alexa software, which in theory seems doable enough, but I still had a lot of question marks around how that was actually going to happen. We'll see how it goes. The reality was a little bit more of a dumpster fire, but we still had a lot of fun and learned a lot. So I'm going to teach you the lessons that I've learned from this project. The first is that getting started is significantly better than infinite prep. And if you're anything like me, you like to plan every detail out before you actually start with something. But for something like this, I really just needed to dive in. And I was really lucky that I had this external motivator of the Twitch stream because I set some deadlines for myself and ended up having to just dive in even though I didn't feel fully ready. And that worked out great. The first Twitch stream I did about Furby hacking was actually just searching all the different things that we could do with Furbies and doing a research stream. And that went really well because not only was I able to get the research done and realize that that was a big component about it, but also I got the chat's feedback, which leads me to the second point. which is the community is wonderful. Learning in public is scary. There's definitely scary parts of the internet, but don't let that stop you. I actually had a really great time on Twitch because my chat was really interactive and really invested in the project. So I would get suggestions for things I could do. I would get immediate feedback on questions that I had. Like in the beginning, I was thinking, is there some way that we could organize so that the Furby interacts with the chat? Maybe we set it up with the Twitch API in some way so that if you redeem channel points, the Furby does something. And I put that out there as a question and immediately got like 3 responses back that said, yeah, you can absolutely do that. So there's like really great real-time feedback. It almost feels like pair programming. If you see in the example here, people were really helping me dive into this error that I was having. So it can be really scary to do something in public when you don't feel like an expert at it, but the community is there to be supportive for the most part, and I really encourage you to lean on them. Lesson 3, everything takes longer than you think it will, or everything that can go wrong will go wrong. I hoped to have a working demo for FutureStack, but that didn't happen, and that's okay. Everything is going to take a little bit longer than you think it will, especially if this is something you've never done before. And personally, I have not hacked Furbies before. People really appreciate the honesty and transparency about what you're going through rather than having everything prepared ahead of time, sort of like a Food Network style, and now I take the finished Furby out of the oven. People appreciate being there for the journey, so it's okay if you don't get everything right on the first try or everything doesn't go according to plan. That said, the lesson I learned from this is to build in a buffer. So if you want to have something done by a certain deadline or you think it'll take you X amount of hours, add in some extra time, especially if you're going to be live on Twitch, because that makes everything take a little bit longer.
There it goes.
Lesson number 4, Furbies
Okay,
are
now
even
let's see if I can
creepier
speed
when they're
this guy up.
skinned.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Oh my god. Okay, this is horrifying. Are y'all ready? I don't know if you're ready. Look at this. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Slide out the small microphone embedded in the side. Let's find that. There's so much happening in here. I think I can like take this fully off if I just, yeah, carefully slide off the ears here. So now the hard shell is off the Furby. So if you've ever wanted to know what the insides of a Furby look like, this is your chance here. A lot of stuff happening.
So yeah, like I said, that is the current state of our friend Tolu. Lesson number 5, and this might be the most important one. Showing up is half the battle. This whole project has been an uphill battle for me. It was harder in a lot of different ways than I expected. But working on this consistently has grown my skills faster than I expected, even though there's so much more to go of this project. So even when you're stuck, showing up will get you so much further than you think. There were plenty of times where I felt discouraged or like I didn't know what the next step was and I didn't want to turn on the camera and say hi to my Twitch stream because I didn't know what the plan was. But they helped me through it. They helped me figure something out, and we always got a little bit further than when we started. So definitely showing up is more important than you think, and I've noticed that I have more knowledge about things than I expected to by this point. So I'm really satisfied with that. And I want to add that Twitch streams are like built-in accountability. When you tell people you're going to be there every Friday at 1 p.m. doing some Furby shenanigans, you feel a lot more obligated to actually do that than if you just put it in your calendar and tell yourself you're going to do it. So something like learning in public in some way, some sort of accountability is really helpful. So in conclusion, if there's something that you want to learn and you feel comfortable doing it in public, I encourage you to dive in. It doesn't have to be Twitch streaming because I know that that's not for everyone and live coding can be really intimidating, but there's lots of different ways that you can give your goals a try in public and get that community support and accountability. You could make a Twitter thread like people do for 100 Days of Code. You could blog or podcast about your progress. You could just tweet about it intermittently, whatever works for you. But you will be so proud of how far you've come and being able to look at the beginning of the project versus the end of the project, even though it might feel like a bit of a dumpster fire while it's in progress. Well, thank you so much. I hope you learned a little bit about Furby hacking and learned a couple of lessons from me, Furby hacking in public. I would love to talk to you more about Furbies. You can find me on Twitter, on Twitch, and on Instagram, and pretty much anywhere else on the internet as XOMiaMore. If you follow on Twitch, you will see all the updates that we're doing whenever we try to get this Furby working, and it will happen at some point, so definitely tune in. Thank you so much for your time, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of FutureStack. Bye.